Hello! Welcome to the macro version of Process. If, for some ungodly reason, you are watching this second episode of Process, maybe you watched the first episode of Process. Since the first episode of Process, nothing has happened. But I have purchased a macro lens. And you will notice that now I'm in a close-up, and now I'm in a medium wide. Now, medium close-up? I don't know. Point is, I bought a piece of equipment for this product that I'm trying to launch at USITT called the Collaboration Room. And now you can see more of my car. Is that a good thing? Bad thing? Not sure. Don't really know, but today I'd like to talk about podcasts. I am a fan of Stitcher Radio. Alec Baldwin does a podcast called Here's the Thing, which is fantastic. And he often is talking to other artists and talking to other, producers, and everybody from Ian Schrager's partner to Molly Ringwald. And a number of, other people in between. And basically, he had a sponsor called Stitcher Radio at one point, and I had never heard of that. So I should look like maybe 1,700 hours later, I should invest in Stitcher Radio or something like that. So anyway, I'm putting the call out to see if anybody else is interested in podcasting about the arts as if it were sports, because SportsCenter has co-hosts, and I think I need a co-host. Or maybe you guys could let me know if you want to see me talk to guests, or maybe if you don't want to see me. I don't know. But I was just listening to WTF, which was basically the first time I heard of podcasting as a pop art, let's just call it. In other words, it was popular enough that I heard about it on the radio, back when I listened to the radio. So I think that pop art, maybe sort of post-Duchamp and Warhol, is basically defined as anything that is, worthy, or I hear about, or I know about, from anything that sells soap. My mother used to say that the Milton Berle Show, sponsored by Tide, or whatever. So if they're trying to sell us soap, then we're buying it, and then that's something that then I might be able to be interested in, right? Might have to listen to. So WTF, well, what the fuck, is Mark Maron, and you got to be in a really, really specific mood. I should say, I have to be in a really, really specific mood to enjoy what the fuck. But podcasting as an art form came into my being, into my vision, into my notable ranges of things, and then I used to download all of the podcasts onto my MacBook Air, and that's just, doesn't work that way, right? So then I kind of gave up on podcasts. And then, of course, as everything moved to the cloud, I also learned about things like Stitcher Radio. And if you haven't tried it, absolutely fantastic. So they sponsored Alec Baldwin, and then all of a sudden we had Here's the Thing, and now I'm able to hear This American Life and Studio 360 and any other number of interesting shows that are on Stitcher. I like to stitch together Mike Pesca doing The Gist, which is, again, these are all of a certain taste and of a certain whatever, oeuvre, but they're great. And then I like to listen to Michael Wilbon and Tony Kornheiser talk about, on PTI, pardon the interruption, not Progressive Teachers Institute, shout out to Ethical Culture Fieldston School. I'm not turning there. Sorry. So anyway, I like to stitch together PTI and The Gist, And then usually those are kind of my dailies. That's about all the time I usually have to listen to something for sure. And then on days that I make it to the gym, I'll do an hour long. I'll do a Studio 360, I'll do a Here's the Thing, I'll do WTF if I'm in that kind of mood. Anyway, so it's a fantastic art form, and it's something that we as artists are able to consume at our own rate, in the car, at the gym, and it's also fantastic for our students, right? I mean, like the ability to flip the classroom, as they say, be the guide by their side, not the sage on the stage, right? Harkness, table it up, all that kind of good educational, pedagogical stuff. As a modality, it is an excellent way to teach. Listening to somebody else talk about a topic, interview people, whatever, very, very interesting. So that's what I'm doing with Process, right? So we've got the long form interviews, and I'm putting together another one tomorrow. I'm scheduling Paul Smitherman, production manager for Lincoln Center Theater, and hopefully we'll get a tour. Maybe we'll find out a little bit about King and I, and some other things, and that's all I have to say about that. So let me know what you think. Process. I'm Charles Kirby. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Enjoy your day.
Point when your status somehow doesn't allow you to ask questions anymore. Try to break down that wall. Always ask questions. Always be curious. Always learn about more than what your specific interest is.
Guy?
One word, passion. Find your passion and stick with it. Up, down, but if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right, and you are the only one that can provide. There's a lot of people around, a lot of things coming at you to knock you down, but if you have that passion in your gut, you will continue, and you'll succeed, and you'll have fun.
Maybe I have time for one more question.
You should comment on this.
Oh, or John, go ahead.
What they said. Never stop asking questions, find a passion. I was going to echo Jennifer. I think that just don't accept the status quo. Be more curious about the world around you. Other questions?
Oh, there's one back center there.
Firstly, I want to thank you all for being here today, but my question is for the women of the panel. When the world told you no because you were a female, how did you get the world to tell you yes?
When I go to plan a new building, and the money people are there, the provosts are there, and the engineers and the architects are there, I'm still sometimes the only woman in this room. You have to understand, back when I was in school, they told you you couldn't do it because you were a woman. They don't tell you that now. But effectively, it is still happening. So you have to always be aware. You have to always fight. Just keep your antenna going, because that discrimination is just built in to this country's way of dealing with things. I know we think that everything is better, and it is better, but it ain't fixed. My mother was a physicist. She went to the chemistry department in her university and wanted to become a chemist. And they said, no, no, no. She went to the physics department. They welcomed her with open arms. She was lucky. And she became a physicist. You have to do with passion what you are doing. And as a woman, you may have to do it better than the man. Absolutely. So keep trucking. I almost became a physicist. Almost for the same reason.
I would never become a physicist.
First time ever. I said, who would want to go where they want me?
I can't help it. There's always a different set of standards that's applied. I have to say that it's insidious, it's unspoken, but there's often more scrutiny given to women than there are to men. Men are given passes because it's just the way it's been, and it's not any man's fault. It's an institution. It's institutional. You know, it's like if you have a club and then all the club members are the same, when somebody different wants to join the club, it's like, who is this person? You just don't trust them. So I just think men have been given the benefit of the doubt much more than women have. So women always have to prove that they're as good, if not better. And so I also have a natural curiosity for how things work. So I pride myself on how scenery moves on stage, and I like to go to the shop, I like to see how things are built, and I often recommend how I want something to move. It's not necessarily like, oh, I'll leave it up to you guys. I actually want to know specifically how to move, and sometimes I want it done differently. But that's because I'm passionate about it, and so I think that makes a big difference in why I've managed to kind of do quite well.
Never let it beget you. Let you be aware of it. And never forgive and never forget. That's Alzheimer's and you don't want revenge, you want justice. And you just keep slashing at their ankles until one day you slit their throats.
I think A, we're out of time. B, I don't think we're going to top that. So, I want to thank all 6 of you for joining us on the stage. You'll be able to run into them in the hallways and have some side conversations, but there'll also be more formal presentations later today, I think are all for the achievement winners. So thank you all for coming, your attention, your questions. Thank you all.
You answered all my questions. Did I? Not really, but I love talking to you. Yeah.
It's delightful. I must say, I love Richard Pilbrow. Tony Walker.
Anytime. How are you? Email. I got all my
Hi, Alan.
Hi.
How are you today?
Where it is right.
Hi, Sabrina.
Hi.
Sorry. Hi, Jill.
Hi.
I'm so happy for you. It was like, I saw your placard.
Process. Distinguished Achiever.
Oh, shut up.
Richard Pilbrow.
Oh, shut up.
Hi, Dave. Hi, Robin. How are you?
Fine.
Today in Process, we heard some serious freaking content. Man, this is my favorite session at USITT, and I can't thank David Grindle and Kevin Rigdon and Jennifer Tipton for representing Sunny Sonnesveld. And now we are going to say hello to the great Jerome Mecklenburg.
Here you are.
Nice to see you. I'm shooting a podcast called Process.
Process.
Yes. Would you like to be interviewed quickly?
And it is about
For your process,
my process of what?
how you create things, what you do, who you are.
Well, I am surprised.
I tell you the name now. Are you ready?
Yes.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 13 of Process. I'm your host, Charles Kirby. Welcome to a discussion about the arts as if it was sport. All right, I got the laugh I was going for. Now, I asked you a question about your process, and you said you don't think about it.
Yes, because when someone asks you to do something, work in designing activities, what is the process? Yeah, first ask what it is about.
Right, okay.
And my second question is always, where will it happen? Because these are the two major things
For life.
for life
for-
also,
I mean,
probably. But in designing process, it's, as far as I see it, it's the way it works anyway for me, because the subject and the space gives the inspiration on how to proceed to bring over the message.
So I teach, and my students often ask me, well, I ask them first, do you see visions? Do you?
Well, this in education, I never had a theater education. I come from fine art, and I I drank too much with students, actor students who later became directors. So that's my connection.
We don't do that
to
in
the
America.
theater.
We don't do that in America.
anymore.
No,
That's a
no.
pity. It's a very interesting way to find your way. So that means that in the beginning, I do not know anything about theater, about famous plays. Everything was new to me. So the idea of the process for me must come from the director, because he has to help me what he wants to realize.
Do you ever work with female directors?
Also, yes.
I'm just, you said he. I was just curious if that's a gender
Well,
stereotype, like they were just talking about, or whether it's a...
I have worked with very few
Right.
directors.
Right.
Just
a fact.
Those I met in the bar.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you and I met in a bar.
You see, that's my public relations. That's in the bar.
It is one of the best ways to get work.
Yeah.
But
And,
yeah. So sorry.
I had the opportunity in Belgium, certainly in Flanders, in my younger time when I started to work in. Every company was located in a house. There was not so much traveling productions, which gives the opportunity to find out in the space where you will work, to find what is special in the space. What can I use to help, which is also very important for budget, keeping the budget.
Sure.
You do not need to add things when there are some things. Sometimes a lot of designers or theater makers complain about a building because this is no good, that is no good, sidelines, something in the architecture they do not like. I think this is not right. There are no wrong buildings, no wrong spaces. There are only bad directors and bad designers. You have to use what is available. When you have an actor who is very good for, but he cannot play all the roles of Jean Premier because the shape of his body. Then you do not ask, I want to use this actor and I put off a slice of his belly.
A pound of flesh.
To fit into the costume.
Yes, as Shakespeare
Now,
told us.
you write a play for that person. And then you have all stuff. So when you work in a space, just look to the possibilities of that space and not to the difficulties of that space. So that's the way I work. Of course, this is more difficult now because all plays are made for traveling. So then you can not do the same for every building, because certainly when you use a specificity, sorry.
No. How do you
of,
say in your language? Speak in your. This is international news.
Well, anyway,
No.
I suppose you understand what I mean.
I
The
do.
specific.
Yeah, specificity.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like you use also your actors.
Mm-hmm.
A director uses his actors and chooses the role depending on the quality, not only on the quality, but also on the so-called dysfunctions, possible dysfunctions of an actor.
I think I do know what you mean, and my I think in America we would call it site specific, or
Yes.
experimental, like Eugene Lee, like John Lee Beatty, Circle in the Square, downtown New York, 1960s, like more like found object.
Yeah.
Is that right? Or
Yeah,
I mean, that's what we
here-
would call it as American designers. I'm not sure.
You just make me think on a certain situation. You are talking about site-specific work.
Right.
Indeed, a lot of people are working in found spaces, and they do
Found. You said found. Yeah,
found
yeah.
spaces.
I thought you said fun.
No, found.
They are
found.
fun also.
Yes, they are fun.
Yes, but found. I understand. Yeah. Working in found
they
spaces.
They use the specific qualities
Right.
of that found
Yeah.
space.
Right.
Now it happened to be we have a very famous director in Antwerp. I didn't work with it for the moment. And he happens to work in the Burla Theater in Antwerp, which is the only large municipal theater left who has historical wooden stage machinery from 1834. And he wants to get this out. And here I come back to when you have this opportunity to have this mechanism in your theater, don't fight against it, but use it.
Right. I think your Falstaff metaphor is stunning. I mean, it makes me think of 1600 Shakespeare company.
Yeah.
Where they have a fat man and a girl, and then it's a girl, you can't use her because it's only boys, and then you have to have a Juliet because girls and boys are in plays. I mean, it's that amazing use of the actor who is in your space, in your company, that then maybe becomes like the fat king or whatever it is, right? Maybe you write King Lear because you have an asshole in your company who is just demonstrative and needs, right? I mean, is that kind of, I mean, you're saying from a scenographer point of view, right? Like, oh, look, there's rubble or trash. So I will do Falstaff in garbage.
Yes.
Is that, I'm trying to understand.
Well, what you put forward now is exactly also, now by discussing, I start to think further. My designs often are by luck. I see some material. I think that is an interesting material. I will use it, and then when I have someone who gives me a play to make the scenography, I think, where can I use this material that I just found?
So it's sort of like
that's
cut and
also
paste.
an approach.
Cut and paste, like you put the collage.
More
Is
or
that-
less,
or no,
but you still adapt it to what you need. And here we come back also to that historical machinery. I do not use that historic machinery like they used it in the past. I had the luck to work in that theater when there was still no problem with it. And I was the first to see the qualities of this machinery and used it in productions, but not the way that they used it historically in the Baroque period or later.
Right.
I used it in a complete other way that nobody has thought about, just by playing with it and find other possibilities. And that's what I mean. It's not only the old machinery. Be happy with everything what you have in hands, and do not fight against the building. Use that building.
Like the laws of physics.
Yes.
You have gravity on your side. Why try to divide it? Why try to defy it so often?
Gravity. They are complaining about that old theater that it's a raked stage. Of course, something on wheels, because of gravity, slides down, falls in the pit. Shall we complain about that? Shall we complain about gravity? I don't think so. We use gravity then and find a way to use it. So I used in another production, I made a design with a rake, just having the possibilities to have a stair in different levels and sliding them down just by pulling or pushing with a rope from the backside, and with the gravity it drops down and stays at the place you stop it. So this is a very simple thing.
It makes the next thing it makes me think of is light or rain in the Globe Theater.
Mm.
You know, like an open air theater. You have, you know, is that I'm just.
Yes, when we talk about that, I had a production who was in a wagon of a train and where they arrange the trains.
Like the train cars.
Like the train cars, and it
yeah.
was in the middle of the. It was close to an airport where.
The theater was close to an airport.
No, that wagon where we played, it was a train wagon.
Can you take it back? What's the name of the show and where exactly? Give us the information for people who might care.
What's the name?
Oh.
It was about people who become in poverty and has no more roof to sleep under and live in that train wagon.
So was there a script?
There was a script.
Original play.
It was a very small public because you have half of the wagon was for public, half of the wagon was for playing. But the actors had to take into account that airplanes fly over it and make noise, and other things happen.
So the train wagon
Yes,
was near an actual
and
airport.
so the actors were, each time happened something, they used that waiting, because that was the fact, that was what happening. And then one of person into the public said, this was a wonderful production. I never have seen a production where the soundtrack was so timed very well.
Yes. And yes. Yeah, you know, they say the same thing at you know, the public theater in Central Park. Same thing, because same thing. JFK, LaGuardia Airport, you hear everything, and then sirens and everything. And sometimes many people who come to Shakespeare in the Park for the first time say, "Oh, how did they get the police beat to go by at exactly King Lear moment or something?" Right? You know, and it's like, yeah, we didn't have control over New York City as a oral thing. So but you didn't exactly answer the question.
Oh, sorry. Sorry for that.
No.
What was the question?